Have you ever felt a clear invitation? A door opens. The invitation feels unmistakable. So you step closer, you accept, you enter, and somehow, once you are inside, the room feels smaller than you imagined. There isn't quite enough space for you. You find yourself looking around, wondering where to stand, where to put your hands, whether there was ever really a place for you here. Almost like being the fifth wheel. And there is a strange kind of disorientation in that. Because the invitation was real, the pull was real, the chemistry may be real, and yet there isn't quite enough room. Someone can keep reaching for you without making room for you, and sometimes that is the hardest kind of distance to understand. Because the person isn't completely gone. Someone appears, reaches, pulls you close. You feel the warmth, the electricity, the unmistakable pull. And just when you begin to lean toward it, cold, distance, silence, and then again, warmth, a message, a look, I want you, and something inside you wakes up. Maybe this time. Maybe there is something here, and then cold again, warm, cold, hot, cold, a rhythm, a cycle, an opening, a closing, until you begin to wonder whether the intensity itself must mean something deeper, whether the pull must be pointing somewhere, whether the door keeps opening because you are meant to walk through it. So, for the next few minutes, you don't have to answer all those questions. You don't have to figure out what the other person feels. You don't have to decide whether the chemistry is real. You don't have to make yourself stop wanting. Just come back to yourself. Take a slow breath in and slowly let it go. Feel your body supported beneath you. Feel your feet against the ground. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw release. And notice what happens inside you when the warmth comes. And then, what happens when it disappears? Perhaps you know this rhythm already. The little rush when a name appears on your screen, the anticipation, the fantasy, the feeling of being wanted, and then the drop, the silence, the questioning. What happened? Did I imagine it? Will the warmth come back? And yes, Perhaps there is a rhythm here, a cycle. Warmth, absence, warmth, absence. And that unpredictability can make the mind even more attentive to the next opening, waiting for the next message, the next touch, the next invitation, the next little confirmation. I'm still wanted. Not because you are weak, not because you are foolish, not necessarily because the connection is profound, but because uncertainty has a way of keeping us at the edge of the door. So breathe and simply notice. Warm, cold, hot, cold. You don't have to chase the warmth. Now, place one hand over your heart and maybe place the other on your belly and ask yourself gently, how do I feel in this pattern? Not what is the other person feeling, not what could this become, not do they secretly care, just how do I feel? Do I feel expanded? Do I soften? Do I open? Do I feel curious, seen, safe, considered, peaceful? Or do I contract? Do I brace? Do I become hyper aware? Do I wait? Do I find myself wondering when the next opening will come? Don't analyze it. Go underneath the story, before the explanations, before the chemistry, before the hope, before the fear. There is a very old language in the body, the same body that can recognize a primal pull, a spark, a charge, a magnetic attraction, can also tell you when something doesn't feel safe, open, welcoming, or spacious enough. So simply notice, do I open here or do I close? There is no right answer. Your body is not necessarily telling you what another person intends. It is telling you how you are experiencing the pattern. And that is information. Perhaps you can begin to see the difference. Someone can desire you without knowing how to hold you. Someone can feel chemistry with you without building connection. Someone can reach for you without making room for you. And none of this means that what you felt was imaginary. The warmth can have been real. The attraction can have been real. The longing can have been real. The chemistry can have been real. But real does not always mean right for you. Intensity is not the same as intimacy, and intimacy is not simply physical or emotional closeness. Real intimacy asks for presence, curiosity, attention, consideration, the willingness to stay long enough to discover who is actually in the room. Being wanted is not the same as being considered, and a door opening occasionally is not the same as having a place inside. Sometimes it feels less like an invitation and more like a lottery. You don't know when the next opening will come. You only know that occasionally it does. And you find yourself waiting for your number. Take a breath. You don't have to live that way. Now, imagine that door again. It opens. You feel the familiar warmth, the pull, the possibility, and this time you pause. You don't need to slam the door shut. You don't need to punish anyone. You don't need to convince yourself that you never cared. You don't need to make the chemistry wrong. You simply stop standing there, waiting for the door, to decide whether there is room for you. One step back and another. You take your attention. Out of the doorway and bring it home, back to your heart, your body, your life, your dignity, your peace. And perhaps you say, I don't want to live on intermittent warmth. I don't want to keep waiting for the next opening. I don't need to compete for consideration. I don't need to turn chemistry into someone's outlet for tension, boredom, loneliness, or desire. And finally, I'm allowed to want something that stays present, something open, something curious, something willing to discover me, something that makes room for getting to know one another, something steady, something reciprocal, something that doesn't leave me wondering whether the door will open tomorrow. Take one final breath in and slowly let it go. Feel yourself here, not waiting, not chasing, not decoding, not proving, just here, with yourself. And perhaps you can carry these words with you. Someone can reach for me without making room for me. I can acknowledge the pull without following it. I can honor what was real without abandoning myself for it. I can feel desire without turning it into a reason to stay. I can listen to my body's opening and my body's closing. Because a door that opens occasionally is not the same as a place being kept for me. I don't want to live like a lottery, waiting to see if there will be room. I want a reservation, a place made with intention, a place where there is room to arrive, to stay, to be discovered, to discover. And I decide to walk toward what makes room for me.